Alright, back again for the CiC Qualifiers, round of 32. I don't know what order you're watching this in, but this is the last one I'll be casting in the round of 32, as it is the last one in the round of 32. So probably you're watching this out of order, because there isn't really a great order for these things, and therefore that doesn't mean anything to you, and thanks for watching, because not many people do that, and now I'm not lonely. Well, I am, but I can pretend like somebody's here and not lonely. But this is a happy cast, right? Right? I don't know, I'm not great at starting these things. It's very weird. Benzington and Kronos are going to be banned out in the first two for Diglett here on the Legion side. You might have known that Diglett creams What You Got, Fuzzy Sloth, and Durant's The Last of Us on this Legion side versus Danny, Plis. The Last of Us, obviously a much better known team. Some recognizable names here, relatively new squad, but should have the player skill advantage over their opponents, even if they don't have the synergy that a more experienced squad might have. So certainly the favorites in this match, but we'll see what happens as we always do. Benzington and Kronos fans making plenty of sense, of course, as they are the popular suicides of the moment, and they tend to take over games very easily. Removed from the pool at this point, and Puppet Master and Drunken Master being taken out by the Hellborn side, so they hate Masters. We'll see if they continue on and ban Master of Arms. Seems possible. And obviously those two heroes just generally very powerful. Puppet, one of the harder carries in the game, strong gank presence as well, and Drunken Master stupidly versatile, both in terms of what lane he can show up in, as well as his ability to be a mid and late game presence. So lots of bans that make a lot of sense. Legion side finishing up their picks so far with Kraken, Glacius, and Parasite, as Kraken, yet another of those extremely versatile heroes that can be played in any lane. Glacius is strong enough support. Not a huge fan of that myself, but he's fine. Competitive teams seem to like him. I don't think he's that good, but whatever. Parasite also going to be picked up. I would not have selected him when Tempest is still on the board, but they really need a jungler to counter that Ophelia, because Ophelia in the woods, as played by a competent jungler, can be a pretty serious problem. So not a bad selection there either. Should have a nice time feasting on that Rhapsody, and very possibly both Bubbles and Oph if they don't get off to a good start. Speaking of that Ophelia, she is the first selection for the Hellborn side, followed up by Rhapsody and Bubbles, so also going a very strong team right here. Really strong gank presence with both Oph and Bubbles, as well as Rhapsody to some extent, and good team fight, Rhapsody and Bubbles solidifying that. Ophelia's Newest Blessing also helping out quite a lot. Technically it's Ophelia's Blessing, not Newest Blessing. She just yells Newest Blessing. But no matter what she yells or what the ability is called, it is powerful. It is powerful in team fights, and it is a good counter gank tool, which is going to help a lot with the Parasite and the Kraken as well, as they are both strong gank heroes. So Legion side looking strong on the ganks, pretty good on the team fight with both Glacius and Kraken ultimates. Perhaps to be looked to get a little more powerful in that arena as well as with the push. And we'll see what they choose to do to try to address those deficiencies with their last two selections. So far they've banned out Magmus, Rally, and Dampier, so taking out a couple of strong initiators, strong strength heroes, as well as so far the Hellborn side that's extremely squishy. Dampier, also a snowball mid-game type carry, and that would suit the Hellborn's lineup quite well, especially with Bubbles and Rhapsody. Very, very strong in the mid-game, and would be able to help that Damp take off, especially with the pseudo tri-lane up top. Dampier, Rhapsody, and Ophelia would potentially set up for quite a lot of very dangerous kills. So the removal of the Dampier makes a fair bit of sense. We don't see that hero too often, but not having to deal with it, definitely a plus. And Magmus and Rally, of course, making plenty of sense, as they're potentially, really realistically, they must be still shopping for that. No, they could be. They're probably still shopping for that mid-initiator role, unless they choose to put Bubbles in it, but that's less likely, I think, at this point than having him suicide. So Legion side here, perhaps looking for either looking for a mid or a suicide, as Kraken will likely take the other, as well as a short laner. I hope that they solo the Kraken, so at this point, Glacius is strong babysit support, and I'd like to see, okay, Prisoner, that works too. So we're going to see a suicide Kraken here, probably Glacius, Prisoner, middle. and a solo bot laner. Wretched Hag was banned out by the Hellborn side along with Warbeast and Dr. Repulster, so removing some of the late game potential that the Legion side was lacking and trying to prevent them from being able to pick it up effectively. I think that Hag ban in particular is going to prove extremely good because obviously that would have fit the Legion lineup, I think, really, really well. The Kraken ultimate, the Prisoner ultimate, the Glacius ultimate on top of the Hag ultimate would have been fantastic. Hag would have provided the late game presence. She can push a little bit, especially with the Sonar Scream on top of Grimoire power, and she has the strong gank potential to pair with the already strong gank potential of the rest of the Legion lineup. So that would have given them a very strong mid-game presence. It would have given them a lot of offensive capability and a lot of aggressive capability, and excellent ban, I think, getting rid of that hero, because they probably would have looked to pick it up, I mean, you know, if it were available, but alas, it is not. We'll see what else they can do for that solo bot lane. Hellborn haven't really selected a definite suicide yet. I think at this point you probably pencil in the bubbles, like I said, and they're looking for something. Moon Queen will be the selection, so they're looking to take this game late, and I like that. I like that pickup. Rhapsody, obviously one of the better babysitters, and they're now looking for probably a solo mid. Plenty of options are available there. Gauntlet still on the board. Pharaoh could also work. Devourer has some potential, so we'll see what they choose to go with, but probably going to be up against a dual lane in that middle. And in that situation, you might actually want to put Bubbles in the mid, and I think I would do that. I think I'd put Bubbles in the middle and I grab a suicide hero here. And I'm eyeing the Pharaoh, especially because Gemini was picked up as their last pick, so I'm thinking it's either going to be Gemini Glacius bot or Glacius Prisoner mid. In either situation, I think Pharaoh would do quite well. It would also give them some strong initiation presence, what they have right now with the Bubbles, and it's just not quite as good as it would be with the Pharaoh. Obviously, looking in, instead it will be the Pestilence, so that's going to be a mid-Pesty. I don't really like that. Pesty likes to run in a dual lane, and you're either going to have to solo the Moon Queen or the Pesty. Obviously, we're going to have a Suicide Bubbles here, but you can't solo a Moon Queen. You absolutely cannot solo a Moon Queen. She needs a babysitter. She's too weak in the early game to put her up with no protection, even in a short lane. The problem is, Pestilence in the middle is going to get destroyed by Prisoner and potentially Glacius. As a solo laner, he's fine, but his last hit, his landing presence isn't that good. His stun is strong, but his burst is pretty much non-existent. Where he excels is as another stunner on top of something else. If he's able to get some auto attacks in, the stun becomes much, much more powerful if he can use it to follow up somebody else's stun or use it to give somebody else the opportunity to stun. So we saw so much Pestilence dual lane because of that power, and I think we're going to see a Pestilence solo mid, and I don't like that decision. I think it's not going to go very well. We're almost certainly going to see a Prisoner in the middle lane, and I would imagine it's going to be with the Glacius, especially because Gemini has an escape mechanism. So I think we're going to see Gemini solo bottom up against a Suicide Bubbles. Top lane we're going to see Moon Queen Rhapsody, because you have to put the Rhapsody there, and Suicide Kraken with a Glacius Prisoner mid. So I think Hellborn's setting up to lose both middle and bottom lanes, and definitely setting up to win top lane, which is great. But Kraken actually against Rhapsody can do some damage. Rhapsody is not a hero that can effectively harass Kraken all the way out of lane. He just can't do it, or she just can't do it, because the staccato stuns are powerful, but Kraken is really, really tanky and has that splash auto attack, has the charge to get away in case he gets in any danger, has the torrent if he wants to go offensive. So it's a bit of an issue when it comes to trying to mitigate that Kraken's ability to get levels in the suicide lane and even get farm, just because the splash is such a powerful laning tool. And I'm not feeling really confident about the Hellborn's decision at this point. I think they did get outdrafted. I do love the Gemini pick. I haven't really talked about that. He was obviously, you know, one of the hard carries, and then he just fell off pretty much for no reason. I still think he's broken as hell. I don't understand why teams stop picking this hero up. He's actually sitting on 2 in gold right now, which is interesting. Perhaps going for he might be going for Alchemist Bones. I think that's what he's going for, and he knows he's going to be up against Suicide Bubbles, so he's feeling confident in his last hit ability, and so he's just going to be like, I'm going to get an Alchemy Bones as soon as possible and let my farm take off, and I actually don't mind that at all. Bubble's going to be mildly annoying for this Gemini, but shouldn't be able to kill him, especially with the Stout Shield up. Oh, might go and is going to buy a hatchet from the side shop, maybe? We'll see. Or is he just going to start with some strong harass onto this Bubbles? Yep, he's going to buy a hatchet, so foregoing that decision, perhaps not. Perhaps that was always the plan. Yeah. regardless, his farm will be just fine here in this bottom lane, taking some harass there, but probably not going to drop to the bubbles unless he massively misplays thanks to that Twin Fangs ability. And in fact, they will send Rhapsody Metal with Pestilence, so this is going to be very good for Pestilence. In the meantime, though, Moon Queen is going to have an awful time. And actually, they get the Hook here on Rhapsody, and she's in some trouble. Drops the Cicados on a Prisoner, but will have to take a health pot here, so that's not going to go very well for her. And she's already dropping a whole bunch of health regen. Still has 2 mana pots and 3 Tree Eaters on top of the 3 Tree Eaters that Pesty has. So still some regen in this lane, obviously, but having to use so much of it so early in that health pot, not particularly helpful. Obviously, the Ice Imprisonment from Glacius going to be able to set up those prisoner hooks extremely well. So I would imagine we'll see a Bloodlust from this middle lane, and very likely onto that Rhapsody. We're missing a CS there with the hatchet, but oh well. And top lane, this MQ, man, she's not gonna have a good time. Like, she'll have a decent time, but she's not gonna have a good time, and she might get killed, especially once Kraken hits 6. Kraken can probably kill her if he hits 6 before she does, and he should because he has the melee experience advantage. And he just doesn't, and he saves all his mana, he should be able to kill his MQ pretty easily, just by dropping a release on her. The only way it's not going to happen is if MQ just massively forces him out of lane, but he's got a health pot, 2 more tangos, and a mana potion, so I don't think that's going to happen either. I'm really, really concerned about this lane decision. I don't like it. It's not going to end well. It's too bad, too, because Almor do have a generally very strong draft. I just think the Pestilence pick did not make a lot of sense as a solo laner. And I think they needed to either have a less greedy short laner, or they needed to have a less greedy, you know, mid and put him suicide and have the Bubbles to take mid, because, you know, Bubbles is more of a defensive mid hero and can survive this lane. Like, this is not a lane that Bubbles would be particularly or threatened in. But anyway.
It's the best thing ever. Yeah.
Gemini having a fine time down here. 290 gold per minute, almost 300 is the top farmer in the game. Moon Queen, the second highest farmer up top, doing pretty well, but you look at Kraken at 215, actually going to be jumped here. Drops a Skeleton King net, but gets the charge away, and he should be able to get under his tower and be just fine. Moonbeam already used, and didn't want to use it again. Didn't want to chase, wouldn't have gotten the kill anyway. So, Kraken here will go off to the side and pop the mana pot. Also grabs a health potion and uses it. Actually, wasted the one from before and is out of regen, which is kind of shocking. So not having the best time up here, but getting plenty of CS at nearly 200 gold per minute. Certainly acceptable for a suicide. Ophelia, obviously, ganks are going to be extremely important in order to maintain not only this Moon Queen's lane presence, but potentially grab a kill and try to get her to take off as soon as possible. So far, though, Legion side taking a bit of an advantage in both gold and experience, just about 1,000 on each. Hook there will only hit Pestilence, looking for the stun, will put it on Glacius, and not going to be any follow-up from Glacius as Scotto stuns come out, and he is prevented from doing too much else. Bottom lane Gemini forcing Bubbles back, and will be compelled to use some regen. Bubbles currently seeing 3 tangos. Nice hook there onto Rhapsody, and that's going to be the Bloodlust. A couple more auto attacks. Oh my god! Yep, there it is. Nearly saved her, and really got probably a lot closer than I was expecting, but nonetheless, Rhapsody does fall, and as I said, I did expect the Bloodlust to come from this mid lane, and so it did. Look how awesome I am. 2K now is the lead in both gold and experience for the Legion side. Parasite obviously here in the jungle as well, at 200 gold per minute. Ophelia at just 150. So Parasite winning the jungle here, and mid lane, no surprise, Diglett at 285 gold per minute compared to Pestilence at just 187. Having that assist no doubt helps, But you look at the CS score, 23-7 compared to 15-0, so definitely Prisoner having the better time here, as they have effectively gained control of this lane even without the 1v2. In the 2v2 they have won it, essentially. Top lane 22-6 Kraken going up against Moon Queen at 29-11, so MQ having the better CS, but no surprise, Kraken's holding his own. He is level 5, MQ's level 6, so obviously Moon Queen hitting that level 6 mark before Kraken does extremely important. The question is, will she be able to live once he does, once he's there too? Meanwhile, over here, Rhapsody getting chased down by both Prisoner and Glacius. She's in a lot of trouble. Drops the Ice Imprisonment and the Shackle. Bit of overlap there. But the hook is still available. Actually, not enough mana, so we'll see if they can turn this around. And nope, Rhapsody goes down here, looking for the kill onto Prisoner, but he's probably going to be able to get away. Has boots. Pestilence is the light active. There's a stun though, and are they going to be able to block him out? Yep. Prisoner actually does drop there, as the stun coming in from Pestilence was just enough. So 1-for-1 trade in favor of the Hellborn, as they trade a support for the mid lane farmer, who was one of the higher GPMs in the game and now has fallen below that Moon Queen. So pretty crucial kill there. But once again, you know, Kraken's up here going, yeah, I'm on the hunt now. MQ, like you need to be careful, girl. Because Kraken's dangerous. Has full mana, has the ability to combo all his spells. I think he can drop all of them, right? 150, 110, 120, so yeah. Almost. I think he needs another level. 110, 120, so that's 230 plus 150 is 380. Yeah, so he needs about 15 more mana on his max to be able to drop all 3 spells, and he probably needs all 3 spells to kill this Moon Queen, so I'm guessing one more level and he will be able to take her out. Actually, the earlier mana cost might be... No, it's just level... Is it affect by level 1? I don't know. Regardless, that is the current state of affairs. Gemini's still the GPM leader for the game at 340 in this bottom lane. Having a fine old time, has picked up the Iron Shield on top of his Steam Boots, trying to prevent as much harassment from Bubbles as possible. Deedroon going to be bottled up top by Pestilence as they guard it very effectively, and they stack the Ancients here as well on the Legion side. Meanwhile, up top lane, Kraken did drop his release, trying to get MQ, but now they're going to turn around. Kelpfield gets dropped on top of the Shell Surf. She will back off. And there's a Moonbeam. Now Kraken in a lot of trouble. Will charge Bubbles forward, a couple more auto attacks. Is chipping the bottle. That's not going to be enough. Vagabond leader. Meanwhile, in the middle, actually, Ultimate Prisoner going down. Will get the kill onto Pestilence. Cicada stuns on a Prisoner. Will allow Rhapsody to get away, but that's not going to be enough to save her. Parasite actually, on the meantime, has a Skeleton King, and now Rhapsody's in a lot of trouble. She's pretty much in. Skeleton King net. There's the Ultimate and the Leech. And that's going to be a serial killer streak for Glacius, as he's having a real nice start. So a couple of pickups here in the middle lane, mitigating the fact that Kraken died top. And Kraken nearly getting the kill on Moon Queen. I think he didn't calculate right and thought that he might have the all 3. Because if he had had the charge, I suspect that would have been a kill on Moon Queen. She was extremely low. So a bit greedy there from Kraken, but will have to pay for it. Meanwhile, up top, level 5 Ophelia, so only 2 creeps. And they will nonetheless push this wave in, push the tower in. Did MQ just... Okay, good. She faked it. Like, I was afraid she just ulted. Double Moonbeam now, and she might actually... MQ ultimate does go off, but charge away from Kraken is successful, so a bit of a waste. Ophelia now taking a bunch of tower damage. They should be able to get this tower kill, but it's not going to be fun. One more auto attack, and that's going to be... Oh god, nice bottle charge. Meanwhile, port in here, actually MQ can take a twin breath, and she could be in some trouble. Will get ported back on top of the newest blessing. They're going to go for Ophelia instead. Makes a ton of sense. She's going to be in a lot of trouble. Throw hook will actually hit and finish her off. So top tower falls, so they get the kill on Ophelia, and they force the port back on Moon Queen. Kraken trying to live as the Vagabond leader, chasing him now, but they're in fact going to get the kill on that as well. Oh, he just denies it. So good play from Ophelia there, as Ophelia definitely knows what she's doing. 240 gold per minute to 1 and 0, obviously helping out with that creep kill or tower kill on top. And Hellborn are in a really great position, 5 and 2, as well as a 3k gold lead and a 4.5k experience lead that seems bigger than it should be, considering it's just 5 to 2. Like, that's not that big a hero kill advantage. But they're getting the significant farm, you know. Look at the bottom lane, 400 gold per minute on Gemini because he's sitting on 74 CS. That's 20 more than the next highest person in the game, which is that Moon Queen. More importantly, though, it's Kraken up top, 35 and 6. Prisoner in the middle is 35 and 15. So Kraken has almost as many CS as Prisoner does, despite the fact that Prisoner was in a dual lane mid that they won. DD Rune there actually will be stolen by Parasite. Actually, I think it wore off. Meanwhile, Bubbles is here, but he's going to get pushed back. Ultimate goes off as well. Kelfield actually only hits the one, and they're going to try to turn this on to Bubbles, but it's not going to happen. Parasite is in the cannon as well, and he's going to have to back off along with Prisoner 945 if they want to live. 4 heroes from the Hellborn side are here. Ultimate hook there's on top of the freeze, and Moon Queen going to have to go off to the side. Glacia's ultimate going down. They will, in fact, finish her off. Glacius perhaps in some trouble. Twin Breath goes down to Gemini as finally shown up. They will kill Glacius, but Pestilence also falls. Ophelia going to be next on the list. Staccato stuns on to Gemini. Leech will be able to finish him off though, and that's going to be a 3-for-1 in favor of the Legion side, losing only their support, taking out all 3 of the 4 Hellborn farmers, with only Bubbles surviving, and just barely for that matter. So a really, really bad engagement there for the Hellborn side as they lose a bunch of players and didn't really get very much out of it. They might actually be concerned about this middle tower as well, as it is being heavily pressured. So, at this point, I think Hellborn need to be a little bit concerned about where they are. 5k gold disadvantage, 7.5k experience. That's a Geiger counter. That's what happens when it... It's a cool ult. But you look at the GPM charts here, and MQ is at 276 gold per minute. And, like, she didn't have that bad a time up top. She should probably be higher than that, considering that Kraken wasn't really doing that much to force her out. Meanwhile, over here, Kraken dropping the release onto Ophelia. Will get the charge off as well, and gets the kill. Trying to pour it out here. Immediately stopped, though. And MQ's faking the ultimate, doesn't even need it because last auto attack here will finish him off. In fact, getting the kill there is Moon Queen. Meanwhile, over here, Pestilence getting pulled in by the hook, and that's going to be a kill onto him. So, in the end, Legion comes out as it is a 2-for-1. It's going to be stacked here for Moon Queen, but Rhapsody might be in some trouble. Saw Gemini coming up over there, I think, but now Gemini knows these are stacked.
The Legion
and might look to take them with his team. As 2 towers fall consecutively, actually. Bot tower and mid tower fall for the Hellborn, and they're going to now take these trickled ancients, so a bit unfortunate there. But, well, what are you going to do? Bubbles actually coming in with the Shell Surf. Will drop the Song of the Sea, and that Prisoner to be in some trouble, trying to not take the Kelfield stun. Hook actually hits on a bunch. They're all taking all sorts of damage, but Newest Blessing helps heal them up. Prisoner will drop, and they're going to try to chase down Gemini here. It's probably not going to happen. He has the Twin Fangs available, I think. Yeah, so he'll be alright. I'm usually used to the Q being the escape mechanism or initiation mechanism for like every hero, but on Gemini it's different, so I always think, like, is that the right one? Is that the cooldown, or is that not? I don't know. It's weird. I guess on Haggett, Blink is on Q too. On Bubbles it's, or on W too. On Bubbles it's Q, and that's, I'm used to that. I feel like on other heroes it's also the, I guess it's W on a lot of them. Kraken, Charge, W. I don't know. For some reason I'm used to the Q. I don't know why. Gemini Dog split up here in the middle lane, perhaps looking for a fight. Prisoner 945 off to the side. Trying to get a hit there. Won't happen. Actually, Milkfat and Minot's cast the end of this match. It's interesting. Good for them. Oh well. I was here first. Technically that's not true because it's a replay, and this match was played a long time ago, but as far as the game counter is concerned, I was here first. So 10-5 Hero Kill lead in favor of The Last of Us. They're up as well in both Golden Experience by nearly 9,000. And I think Hellborn need to start playing this really defensive. They've got Moon Queen, which will help carry them to the late game. And, well, they got Pestilence too, who also needs some farm. And the Legion side have Kraken and Gemini. So just turtling isn't going to be sufficient. They're going to have to send some gank squads. So I would suspect the best plan here is to do this. Ward there and ward there, as they've already done. Let MQ farm as long as possible. Send out the Bubbles and Pestilence. Maybe even Ophelia. Maybe Bubbles and Ophelia could even be better. Maybe all three of them. To try to gank the Legion Woods as much as possible. They need to prioritize wards and D-wards here to try to take some semblance of map control. And pushing out middle tower with Ophelia's minions probably wouldn't be a bad idea. So I'd probably look to pressure middle tower. Try to keep MQ in the jungle and as safe as possible because she needs to get the farm up like right now. And start ganking as heavily as possible. Look toward Hellborn or Legion Ancients. Look toward their jungles. Meanwhile, they're jumping here onto Pestilence with the ultimate from Prisoner, and he's going to get stunned back. Shackle's also there, but he's just going to run away. Hook does not connect, so he will be just fine. Word of Sight obviously spots them over here, sees Bubbles coming in, and all the ports that they true, which is pretty much everybody, amazingly enough. But Pestilence will not be pressured. Like, Moon Queen does not need to port there. That's a bad decision. She should port if it turns out that it's a team fight, and yeah, that's going to mean she's going to come in a couple seconds late, and that could make a huge difference. But if it's not a team fight, if it's just Prisoner jumping in, and there's no follow-up, like with other heroes, then she probably doesn't need to be there immediately. And it's another situation where vision is critical, because if they know, oh, it's just Prisoner there, then you don't have to waste an MQ TP. Because then she had to walk all the way back to top lane in order to get her farm on again. Looking for the hook here is Prisoner. Will actually hit it and Portal Key away to make sure it lands. Looking for the Tundra Blast there as well as the Freeze. They will not find it. Fight gets activated once again. They're going to drop onto Pestilence actually as the Codex Parasite will finish him off. So a little unfortunate there. Wild Hunter Parasite comes in from the side and Pesty's like, well, damn it, I just got away. And now you're telling me that no, I didn't? That's exactly what we're telling you, Mr. Pestilence. Top lane Kraken and Moon Queen in a matchup we've seen before. Continue to go at it. MQ is so afraid. And it's level 11 Kraken. I understand why. It's level 11 Kraken. He can kill her, pretty much. 1,000 health, but if you drop all 3 spells, she's probably dead. Meanwhile, off the side, on the bottom, ultimate coming out from Prisoner, and that's going to be a kill on Bubbles quite easily. Unable to do pretty much anything. Obviously, that Portal Key on Prisoner 945 playing lots of dividends. Kraken will be looking for his own PK. Thunder Blast goes down on top of the Torrent, and the release of Kraken. So screwed are you, Moon Queen. So they jump MQ once again and get a kill there. And this is it. You know, there's not enough vision. To the side here, Parasite looking for the finish onto Rhapsody, but she's doing some nice jukes there, and she actually gets the port back from Ophelia. They won't be able to kill this Parasite, and they may turn this on to Oph as she takes the Shackle and the Hook, and will instead just run away. Steals the Ophelia creep. So, gank unsuccessful from the Legion side, but this is exactly what the Hellborn really need to be doing, and it's harder for them because they're fighting uphill, really, but it's difficult to come back if you're not going to get aggressive. You know, Legion side, they've got the late game, so if they didn't have a Gemini or something like that, and the Hellborn could just turtle this out and wait to get more powerful, that would work. The problem is the Gemini will compete with this Moon Queen for late game dominance. Kraken will be a factor in the late game. Even Prisoner will be a factor in the late game. Parasite could be, depending on his farm. But that's not a viable strategy here. They can't just sit on their side of the river and, you know, be like, alright, if we don't get ganked, if we can stay in here for a while and farm up, we'll be okay, because that's not the truth. They need to find a way to stop the farm of Gemini and or the various heroes in this Legion side, because that's what's going to get them back into the ability to get a win here. At this point, they're down by so much that it's either you make a significant play or you lose the game. You got to take a risk here. You're not going to do anything if you don't. Meanwhile, up here, Kraken will charge Pestilence into the side, and that's going to be a kill. What you got picking up the last hit, thanks to all of his burst damage.
The Legion have destroyed a Hellborn tower.
Again, the wards here becoming a problem. As they've got a Rev ward, but that's not the best thing in the world. They need a better ward here. Probably right here instead. It's difficult, you know. Like, I mean, they had a ward there, it just wasn't in a great position. So, I'm not saying that, oh, this is really obvious and this is what they should be doing, so, duh, they're stupid because they don't. They could totally win this game. I'm not convinced they can win this game. I am convinced that if they continue to play like this, they're not going to win this game. Because the Legion's lineup is just... It's very well built to do this. It's very well built for the mid-game to take an advantage and snowball with it. Parasite does that, Kraken does that, Prisoner does that. All of these heroes do that. And this is going to keep getting worse. Shell Surf here will not connect to anything. Got some scouting information though as the Glacius is here. Prisoner Hook not going to hit either. Tries the Portal Key trick, not successful. Gelfield actually goes on to 2 here. We'll see if they choose to follow this up. Ultimate coming out from Moon Queen as well, but the Moon Queen, Risa Kraken actually Drents falls. Glacius taking a bunch of damage there, and here's Gemini. So Ophelia the first one to draw, Pestilence right after, and now the rest of the Hellborn side is on the retreat. The entire team dies here, and that's the game.
Legion wins. Massacre.
Alright.
Genocide.
So they lose a pretty significant we're not coming back from this. Well played to Legion's side, and they will move on to the round of 16.